All right, good morning, traders. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody out here in digital land, cyber land, podcast land. Thank you so much. Today is May 2nd, 2025. While we're on that topic, Cinco de Mayo, that's the 5th of May, open house for the BYOB Trading Room. All are invited out there in cyber land, podcast land, and digital land. Please make an attempt to try to swing by and hang out with us. All right. So today is May 2nd, 2025, open house, Cinco de Mayo. All right. Thank you for being here. My SPY pivot this morning is 561. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. SPY, Diamond Dow, FNGA, and QQQ, all in daily uptrends. All of the Fab 5 yesterday made higher lows, higher highs, closing over bullish traps and over their flat 17s. SPY closed with a 2-hour uptrend and a 10-minute downtrend. Gold's in a daily uptrend. Gold made lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. Silver still in a downtrend but not moving down. Made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap under the 17. USO still in a downtrend, made a lower high and a lower low, closing under a bearish trap below the 17. UNG also in a daily downtrend, made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap but under the falling 17. US dollar index still in a downtrend, closed near the 100.12 area. SPY max paying for today, that's the options that expire today, 551, with a put to call ratio of 2 puts to each call that expires today at 415. All right, let's go take a look at some charts. All right, here's SPY. Let's take a look at it on the 10-minute. All right, so you got a 10-minute downtrend coming into the close. All right, on the 2-hour. Okay, we got the 3 EMA up over the white 8 EMA and some price candles up there. All right, you can see that's 2-hour uptrend coming into the close. Friday's candle, higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. All right, over the midpoint. Let's take that off. Don't need that. Let's take that off. Don't need that. And take that off. Don't need that. And you can see we're over the downtrend line right there. Prices action is up over the all-time high anchored VWAP, over the midpoint, just neutral, but in an uptrend because it's making higher lows. Here's a low, made a higher low and a higher high. There's the high, made a higher high. Okay, so SPY's in a daily uptrend. 2-day chart, still in a downtrend. 3-day chart, still in a downtrend. Here's the high it's got to take out. It's above the 17, okay, both of these. Okay, weekly chart. All right, weekly chart. There's the high that's got to be taken out. It's above the 17 up there. Okay, so still in a downtrend on the weekly chart. Monthly chart, still in an uptrend. All right, let's go take a look at QQQ. QQQ on the daily candle. Again, just like all the others. Let me just say everybody got a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. QQQ up over the all-time high anchored VWAP in a daily uptrend, making higher lows and higher highs. See the high here over the 17. Yep, we made a higher high, so that's an uptrend. We're up over the midpoint, so we're in neutral land right there. Not in the upper third, not in the lower third. Okay, let's take a look at the QQQ game plan. Take a peek at that on the 10-minute chart. You can see price action, QQQ pivot, 483.65. Okay, red erases green underneath 480.55. Green erases red over 485. I like 7 days till Friday 7 days till expiration Friday options. I like 14 days till expiration Friday options. Friday options have more open interest. I like to pick them up on the increments of 5, meaning 475, 470, 490. They have more open interest on the nickels. All right, so I like them $2 to $5 out of the money. I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. I like the 10-minute uptrends when they're above support. I like the 10-minute downtrends when they're under resistance. All right. Let's take a look at SPY. SPY has a game plan as well. Today's target, if we get there, we'll see. It doesn't look good. 564.65. Okay, that would be the gap fill. All right, overhead gap fill. All right, SPY game plan. Again, I like 7 and 14 days till expiration Friday options. I like them on the increments of 5, like on the nickels. Okay, I like them $2 to $5 out of the money. I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. Okay, this is supposed to say 561. Got to fix that. All right, SPY, if we got a 10-minute uptrend over the pivot 561. First entry, green erase is red. That's 562.50. 10-minute downtrend under VWAP. Got red erase is green under 559.50. All right, so we'll see where those go. Hey, good morning, everybody. All right, so there's SPY. We did QQQ. Let's take a look at the daily chart again. And let's go back to, let's take this out of the way. Actually, we'll just leave that in there for the 5-minute brick. Okay, so let's take a look at IWM. And let's look at that on the scratch right here. IWM, just like everybody else, higher low, higher high, closing over the trap, over the 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, under the midpoint, still in the lower third. That's bearish still. Still bearish. Setting up for a nice launch pad, but it's still bearish. All right, IWM on the daily chart. All right, still in a downtrend. All right, they got to take out this high right here to negate the downtrend. Right up here over the 17. Okay, let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Higher low, higher high, over the trap, over the 17, in an uptrend, taking out the high right here. So that's an uptrend. And just right here in neutral land, not in the lower third, not in the upper third. So that's neutral, still under all-time high anchored VWAP, still under the downtrend line. Let's take a look at FNGA. Again, just like the others, higher high, higher low, closing over the trap, over the 17. That's these red dots that turn to green when price is up over it. Okay, so FNGA putting in higher lows and higher highs, closing over the trap and over the 17, closing over the downtrend line but under the all-time high anchored VWAP. No longer in the lower third, so it's neutral, and in an uptrend for FNGA. All right, let's take a look at our technicals, T2122. We spent the day on the first. All right, all up here in the buy zone and the overbought zone. Looking like some window dressing is happening here. Okay, T2123, gap up, bullish gap up, never got filled. Green from the beginning of the day almost to the end of the day. Last day they decided to take an early martini lunch or late martini lunch right here. Got one red candle there, but still making higher highs here on the 15-minute chart, up over that 200 SMA. This is looking good. We're ramping up, okay? Sometimes these ramp ups precede the next leg lower. We'll see. All right, so we got up over this high finally. All right, so we finally broke that high. I like that. This is starting to look good, all right? I like the idea that it's consolidating over prior consolidation. That's a bullish environment. Bullish gaps up that aren't getting filled by the bears. That's a bullish environment. Up over the flat 200 SMA. That's a bullish environment. So as far as T2123 goes, we have a lot of bullish environments going on. All right, we are in a big bear flag. All right, but we are also in a little mini bull flag that's extended. The fabric flag is well extended. Got to break out and a push up. Okay, so we'll see where we go with that. So far, things are looking good. They're looking much healthier than they were a few days ago by taking out that high. Let's take a look at T2123 3-bar. Put in 3 more green candle bars. Still a little mini bull flag inside of a bear flag right here. Still underneath the 200 SMA. Finally took out that high right there. That was good news. Still underneath these 2 prior all-time highs and another all-time and the all-time high right there. Price action, you can see, has turned from red to green. Okay. Again, this is a bear flag. It usually precedes a next leg lower. We'll see. So far, things are acting bullish. So we're going to trade them till they stop. All right, we're going to trade them bullishly till they stop acting bullish. All right, right now everything is looking like, on the smaller time frame, a bullish environment, like I was explaining earlier. Okay, let's take a look at FNGA. Price action here up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That's nice. Up over the downtrend line. That's a bullish environment. Consolidating up here over prior consolidation. That's a bullish environment. Making higher lows and higher highs. That's a bullish environment. Up over the 200 SMA, and you got it hooking here. That's a bullish environment. Up over the downtrend line. Another bullish environment. Holding the higher ground, all right, so far, it's looking good, making higher lows and higher highs, holding that higher ground, okay, so far, a bullish environment. Do not like what I saw yesterday evening, all right, but we do have bullish environment happening right now. Overnight price action, you can see, has rallied right back. All right, so there's FNGA on the 15-minute chart. Let's take a look at a few sectors here. Start off with XLE. XLE in a downtrend. Okay, see, here's a high. They made a lower high, so they're still in a downtrend. They're just in a pullback in the downtrend. Price action in the lower third, that makes it bearish and in a downtrend. Underneath, all-time high anchored VWAP, downtrend line 1 and downtrend line 2. Okay, see the low? They made a lower low. That makes a downtrend. That's XLE. Let's take a look at USO. That is the oil fund, United States Oil Fund. All right, lower high, lower low, closing under a trap under the 17. Quadrant 1, that's bearish. Makes a high, makes a lower high. All right, makes a low, made a lower low. See this? That's a downtrend. Underneath this 3-year high anchored VWAP, right there, that pink line. Okay, down here in quadrant 1 in the lower third, that's bearish. Okay, so nothing bullish going on there. UNG. All right, UNG, here's a low, there's a low, there's a low. They made a lower low. All right, they're in a downtrend as well, underneath the downtrend line. Okay, price action yesterday. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap. And I'll give it to them. Over the 17 EMA. No longer in the lower third, so that makes them neutral. All right, they're up over this 12-month high anchored VWAP right there. Okay, so they're just neutral right here. No uptrend, still in a downtrend, still underneath the downtrend line. Let's take a look at precious metals. Gold up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish. Gold is in an uptrend but not moving up the last 7 days. Lower high, lower low, closing under a trap, under the 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP. Over the uptrend line, quadrant 4, that's bullish and in an uptrend, making higher lows and higher highs. That's gold. Let's take a look at silver. Silver's in a downtrend, okay? They got to take out this high to negate the downtrend, all right? Now they put in a higher low here. They could very well take out this high and negate the downtrend, all right? Again, it's just a label. They were in the upper third. They were bullish. Can I give it to them? Yeah, I can. Okay. So they're still bullish. They're still in the upper third. They're up over this 6-month / 12-year high anchored VWAP right there. Okay, that makes that's a bullish environment there for silver. All right, they're in the upper third. That's bullish. Still in a downtrend, but not moving down. They're moving up and kind of holding that higher ground so far. All right, in the upper third. That's bullish. So there's silver. Let's take a look at SMH. Semiconductors kind of perking up a little bit, no longer bearish. Okay, they're now in the neutral ground, no longer in the lower third, no longer in the upper third. So that's neutral right there in the middle. Higher low, higher high, closing over a trap over the 17. They're making higher lows and higher highs. That makes them negate the downtrend. Okay, they've converted the uptrend right now. Still underneath a downtrend line right there. Still underneath an all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, still underneath the midpoint. Okay, so they just broke out of the bearish territory. That's the lower third right there. Now in an uptrend. So SMH uptrend in the neutral zone. Let's take a look at Big Brother XLK. This is technology sector. Nice little breakout there. Like I said, 4 days, you get a pop, and you get it. There it is, XLK. Price action. Higher lows, higher highs. That's an uptrend. Closing in the neutral zone, not in the upper third, not in the lower third. Closing underneath the downtrend line, but still moving up in an uptrend here. Okay, and in the neutral zone. So looking good, XLK. Now in an uptrend in the neutral zone, kind of knocking on the door to the bullish zone up here, getting closer and closer as days continue on. That's XLK. Let's take a look at XLF. Financials looking good in the upper third. That makes them bullish. All right. You got 5 days up here over anchored all-time high anchored VWAP. You're getting some push to the upside here. Yesterday's candle, higher low, higher high, over the trap, over the 17. Okay, up here in the upper third, that's bullish. And in an uptrend, making a higher low. And there's a high right there over the 17 and a higher high. So uptrend bullish on the financials. XLK uptrend neutral, knocking on the door. So there's two of the major sectors there. Let's take a look at IYT. IYT's sandbagging us. All right, they're still in the lower third, and they're still in a downtrend. Okay, so IYT, this is our transports. They're still sandbagging us right here. Maybe they got something. I know they got something, but they don't want to put those cards down. Okay, so there you go. In the lower third, that's bearish. All right, failing to make a higher high. That's still bearish. All right, underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's still bearish. Okay, right there. So IYT holding up the juice. All right, let's take a look at... What do we want to look at next? How about the economic calendar? I feel like I'm missing something. Let's pass on that one. Let's go to this one right here. All right, SPY Max Pain for today, 551. All right, for the options that expire today. Okay, May 2nd. Okay, put to call ratio, a little over 2 puts to each call that expires today. So there's a put squeeze on the table. All right, little put squeeze happening on the table there. All right, economic calendar, a lot of economic events. This morning we got the employment situation coming out in 9 minutes. All right, that can be a big mover. All right, factory orders, 10 o'clock, rig count at 10. FOMC speaks next week. All right, so really light day, but watch out for those. The employment situation. Remember last time's ADP report right here at 8:15 really tanked the market. All right, so be careful for this one. Going to be here in like 9 minutes. All right. We did Max Payne. Okay, we're done with that. U.S. dollar still in a downtrend, making lower highs and lower lows. Okay, price action here is we closed near the 100.1612 area right there. Okay, earnings. All right, so yesterday we heard from Apple and Amazon. All right, the day before we heard from Microsoft and Meta. I'm saying that because these are really big cap stocks, securities. Friday, we're supposed to hear from Berkshire. Not sure if they'll report over the weekend or in the middle of the day or well after the close. They haven't decided yet. Also reporting today, this morning, 471 ExxonMobil, 471 billion. Chevron Corporation, little energy reporting today, 244 billion. Eaton Corporation, that's they sell household materials, 112 billion. And some familiar names, but nothing that's going to move the markets. I'm just going to say Berkshire is not a big market mover because they're so diversified. The fact that they do well is good, but they usually don't move the market. So we'll see what happens. I've never seen them really put some juice behind the market. They're usually pretty much fair valued almost all the time. So I don't think we're going to have any edge watching Berkshire. But I want to say that that's a lot of market cap, $2.2 trillion. That's not shabby by any means, all right? If you combine the Berkshire A and the Berkshire B. All right, so there's the earnings that are set to report today. All right. Okay, Berkshire. Thanks, Rickster. Yeah, I thought something was funky on that one. So I don't think they're not a big market mover anyways, but they typically do report on the weekends. I think that's normal for them, isn't that, Rickster? Rickster's helping me out. They might be the bellwether for tariffs. Yeah, they could be. All right, traders, that's it for me for this morning. I feel like I'm missing something. All right. How I'm going to trade SPY. Let's do that. I didn't do that. All right, let's pick up SPY. Let's look at it on the pre-market. All right, and see what we got going on here. Let's pick up a clean chart. That one's way too busy. Let's just delete all this stuff. All right, so we've got consolidation over prior consolidation. This is acting bullish. We could see a breakout to the upside. Okay, so watch this for a breakout over all these pre-market highs up here. So over 562, we could see an attempt at 564.65 for the full gap fill. We got up here close yesterday, 64.04, but not quite gap fill. Seeing it back up here consolidating, I'd be looking for a green candle this morning for a continuation of this pre-market uptrend. All right, so green candle. But I would want that green candle to be up over 562. If it's not over 562, I think we're probably best to wait until it gets there. All right, over 562 up there. All right, because they were acting bullish until this candle came in at the last minute. They were bullish right up until this, I'm going to call it a shakeout, until that shakeout candle. So they very well could be like dipping low to rip higher. So watch this. And we got a put squeeze on the table. So watch this for some bullish 10-minute uptrend over VWAP. Again, kind of wanted over 562. 10-minute downtrend under VWAP. Well, definitely under the pre-market low here. This low, not this low. Okay, so underneath this 559.64. I think I might want to be bearish underneath 559.64 if I saw a 10-minute downtrend underneath that. So let's draw some lines. Okay, definitely want to be over that to be bullish, and I definitely want to be under this, underneath this to be bearish. Okay, so right there. 559.68, 562.24. Other than that, it's liable. It's capable of probably just whipping back and forth and chopping up our accounts. Okay, just saying, it's very capable of just doing that. Okay, so I don't want to see us get chopped up. We usually get chopped up every Friday. Okay, so over 562.24. Under 559.68. All right, put squeezes on the table. So if we do get up over 562.24, definitely going to look for gap fill 564.65 and then some, and then some. All right, so that's the game plan for this morning. All right, in the pre-market. We got some pre-market lows right here. I'm just going to use these. You could wait. You could wait till underneath here if you want to. But that leaves another couple. That leaves another dollar on the table. If you're willing to give up that dollar before getting started, you know. But for me, I think I'm going to start right here, right underneath that. Yeah, we closed yesterday 558.48.6. Right, exactly. I'm gonna wait underneath this pre-market. That will be red erases green. Green is going to be this area right here from this low. From this low up to this high. Right up there. Okay, so if red erases this, okay, that's going to be my entry right here. There's the employment situation. I guess you got nothing to worry about there. That would be my entry right there. New green box. New green box goes from here all the way up. Okay. So that would be red erases green right there. Thanks, Alan. Inside my mind is try to get in as early as possible. Rick's just trying to read my mind. All right, try to get in as early as possible, but still remain cautious with my entry. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, it's payroll. So that's how I'm feeling it. All right. I want a little bit of an edge. I don't want to wait till the bottom of all the. I mean, in reality, the two plays to to add would be right down here. Okay, underneath all of this. Underneath all of that. That would be the true green, red erases green. Underneath all of this. Okay? But if I can find a spot earlier to get in, all right, that's my spot earlier. All right? All right, guys, that's it for me for this morning. All right, I'm going to be back in like 45 minutes. We'll kick off the market. Again, open house, Cinco de Mayo, tequila shots and margaritas, and some stock trades. I don't know how all that goes together. It'll be a lunch from, I don't know, beginning of the day to the end of the day. So we'll see. All right, Friday, Cinco de Mayo, open house. BYOB. All right, we'll see you there.